And welcome back to Rhythm True FM 97.2, and we're on the line with Michael Praed. Hello.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, you must be shattered with all the shows that you're doing, running around the stage.
Well, it is, yeah, I mean, we do 8 shows a week, and there's a lot of running around, and a lot of dancing and singing in this fabulous show that is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Fabulous. Based on the film that most people will know before the show, starring Michael Caine and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And you're obviously taking the role of Michael Caine.
That's right.
As Lawrence. So,
that's right.
Before we give a sort of an insight into the story, that for those that aren't aware, just a reminder, and your part, what's your experience? Because you're no stranger to musicals, but you've done an awful lot of TV stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've done, as you say, I've done a fair amount of musicals, and they are very, very demanding, and when you get them right, they're tremendous things to be involved in. Largely because music is, the power of the potency of music is such that it really sort of, I think, sort of speaks the direct truth to people. You either immediately like something or you don't like something, and when songs are structured in the right way, actually the musicals can have a tremendously beneficial impact on the audiences. And we find that people come in feeling one thing and walk out feeling a completely different thing.
And your background before the stage was in television, and you've got quite a bit on there. So just give us an insight into where your career started and what kicked it off.
Well, I went to drama school and did my training there, and then I was very fortunate to get an agent and started off in theatre, and then got some breaks, and here we are.
So I assume you have, or looking at the list of credits, it doesn't seem to have made you out of work very long, but these days in the industry, people don't believe in a career in the arts is sustainable, but because it's not secure, if you like. What would you say to people like that?
Well, the sort of, what's the word, salutary fact about acting as a career is that something like 95% of all actors in the Actors Union Equity at any one time are out of work. And so, statistically, you have sort of 95% chance of not working. And, of course, the 5% that do work are the kind of 5% that will always work, like, say, the Judi Denches. And so it can be there's no can be about it. It is a brutal profession. I mean, you can strike it lucky and win the lottery, as it were. And God bless you if you manage to do that. But for most people, most actors, I think, will have a story, and it can be a very sort of precarious profession. Not the least of which because, generally speaking, there is not any security as such, which seems to be a component that people find very attractive in life. A certain security of a job. Well, that's non-existent in acting.
And according to I'm sure you've been active in some form all of your life. I'd like to hope so, but certainly the internet lists your activity career-wise from the early 80s. So have there been sort of what have been the highlights of your career? There are so many. I mean, I think the things, if I look back, that I recall with the greatest fondness, I think are the jobs that have sort of taken me out of my comfort zone. So I did one, for example, where it was a dance show, and my part was specifically written for a non-dancer, and it was I found that incredibly intimidating and very challenging, and not the least of which is because I was paired up with I had to do many, many, many dances with a professional dancer, and some of the stuff was really very tricky. And the professional dancers, that term dancer is a misnomer, really, because what in fact they are professional athletes. And I've never had so much more respect for a group of individuals than dancers when I actually got to know firsthand what they go through and how really hard they work. I mean, nowadays, certainly in the early times of your career, it was probably specialised in specific areas. Nowadays, when people train in theatre school, they're trained to be a triple threat, so they can do anything, not just sort of plays or singing individually, but all three, if you like. Are you a triple threat?
No, triple threats are sort of
they are a very unique and exclusive group. And for people who don't know what a triple threat is somebody who can sing and dance and act and do it all brilliantly well. And let's not forget, you can't just suddenly learn to dance. It takes years and years and constant training to be a professional dancer. And the same thing is with singing. You've got to keep your body tuned, and your voice. You have to have vocal lessons, and these people are immensely skilled, and they sort of make it look so sort of breathtakingly easy, as if, you could be forgiven for thinking, well, I could do that, when, in the dancing, a bit like, imagine Fred Astaire, for example, doing something simple, like, say, a waltz. You can look at him going, my God, he makes that look so easy. And, of course, no one can dance like Fred Astaire, and in the same respect, no one can sing like Frank Sinatra, and he makes that look easy, too. And maybe for Fred Astaire and Frank Sinatra, there are various disciplines, for them it was easy. Most people, it's really difficult.
But in this show, you are, a very stylised show. Interesting you mentioned those two, because Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is in itself a very stylised show. And you do indeed sing, dance and act.
I do. I do.
But you're not a triple threat by nature, then?
Well, a triple threat is somebody who's an expert,
okay,
in all of those disciplines. There is no way on this earth or any other where somebody could hurl the accusation of expert at me with regards to my dancing. But, my character doesn't have to be an expert dancer, and actually I'm surrounded by boys who really are expert dancers, and they kind of make me look good. If you know what I mean.
They do indeed. It certainly worked on Thursday when I was there for press night. But for those that aren't aware or can't remember seeing the film of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, just give us a brief overview of the synopsis and indeed your character, Lawrence.
Well, we're in the French Riviera, and my character, Lawrence Jameson, and is a middle-aged, very sophisticated, very suave, very charming, very debonair, handsome con man who swindles very rich women out of their jewels and or money. And he's been doing this for donkey's years, and he's very, very good at it. And Lawrence would say to you that, what he does is not immoral, because the ladies have a fantastic time, and he is simply... and they can afford to, buy more jewels. It's not as if they're incurring a loss. That would be Lawrence's morality speech to you. And into this very cosy, very lucrative business crops up this very young, brash American oaf, a sort of direct opposite of Lawrence, and discovers that Lawrence is a con man and asks Lawrence to teach him, and this character's name is called Freddie. And so essentially what you have here is that you have two characters who are complete opposites, who are thrown together. And during the course of Lawrence doesn't particularly care for Freddie at all, but during the course of the play, they both learn tremendous things from each other, not the least of which is an abiding friendship. And then a woman gets involved. So there's a bit of, I can't spoil and won't spoil the story for you, but if you haven't seen it, but she gets involved, or a woman gets involved, and complicates things tremendously. But it's a hilarious show. Because after all, you're dealing with two guys who are con men, and they set up a bet with each other that the first person to con a woman out of money gets to stay, and the person who loses has to leave town. And so both of us play a number of different roles and different characters in order to outdo the other.
And it's a wonderful show that would indeed sell itself based on the story and the reputation it's had. But there are various stars, including yourself, that play the leads. Just tell us who you're working with on this tour.
Oh yeah, we have a tremendous cast. Let's see, who shall I start with? Well, we have. I was trying to think. Well, for a start, we've got Mark Benton, who is just... you saw him on Thursday, didn't you?
Yes.
He's just
He's hilarious. He's a genuinely funny man. I mean, I can tell a joke, but Mark is just funny as hell. And then we've got Noel Sullivan, who is brilliant as Freddie, and we've got Phoebe Coop, Carly Stenson, Geraldine Fitzgerald, and my good self. And a fantastic ensemble. I mean, absolutely brilliant. And not to mention the band, who rarely get mentioned these days, but band is terrific.
It's everything that comes together to put a show on, well, to make a fantastic night's entertainment, and the critics have praised it correctly so as a triple thread, if you like, kind of show: music, atmosphere, and indeed the set and everybody pulling together to make it so.
Well, it really is a big, brash Broadway musical, and I mean, I've done a lot of shows. And I can say, with my hand on my heart, I defy you not to come in and have a fantastic time with this one. You'll laugh yourself senseless. And the score is terrific. And it's been directed by, Jerry Mitchell, who's a multiple Tony Award winner and Olivier Award winner. And it's a fantastic night out. We'll have a really, really great time. I'm tremendously proud of what we're doing.
Good. It's on. Well, it started last week, and it's on for the rest of this week here in Manchester at the Opera House in Manchester City Centre. We wish you all the very best for the rest of the show and indeed the tour.
Thank you.
What's next for you after this?
Oh, I haven't the faintest idea.
Okay. Easy answer. Brilliant. As I say, we wish you all the very best. Regards to yourself and the rest of the cast, everybody involved.
Thank you.
Huge amount of people working effortlessly behind the scenes. But if I can ask you to introduce quite an aptly named song by a particular favourite singer of yours.
Well, there are many singers out there, but there's only one Frank Sinatra. And this song, I believe, was orchestrated by a man who is in his own right an absolute genius, and his name is Nelson Riddle. And I could plead you a very good case that if there hadn't been a Nelson Riddle, there absolutely wouldn't have been a Frank Sinatra as we know him today. And any time you pick up a song that's been orchestrated by Nelson Riddle, it's going to be sublime. And for those people who might like this arrangement, there's a double album that Linda Ronstadt did, and I think it was Nelson Riddle's very last record, and it's a double album called Round Midnight, and it's got like 40, maybe more tracks of standards, and these orchestrations are sublime, as is his fantastic work on Come Fly With Me. So I hope you enjoy the track.
Fabulous. We'll speak to you again soon and keep updated online. All the best.
Thank you.